Why is Carol so dumb in episode 3 of Pluribus? Based on everything we've seen her do so far, it really feels like this episode somehow made her stupider. I'm gonna go ahead and explain my perspective, and once you see it, unfortunately, you can't really unsee it. Welcome to Crimes Against Logic, where we investigate moments in fiction that make no logical sense. And today, Carol is guilty. So after watching episode 3, the first thing I did was go into Reddit and try to look for someone else that shared my viewpoint. But unfortunately, I couldn't find that. Instead, I found arguments for people defending why Carol is acting the way she is. The main argument is that it's only been 4 days since the death of her partner, and ever since then, she's been spiraling and grieving and depressed and whatnot. I completely agree. I think that that's a good argument to why she might be doing certain things that she's doing. However, I do have a counter argument that kind of puts that to rest. I'd say that the main counter argument is that Carol is still obviously highly functional. She was able to organize a meeting between all the humans that happened to not get infected, and she wanted to form a plan with them to do something about it. She was doing her best to lead them while still going through a lot of turmoil, as you can see in episode 2. And quite frankly, to just give some opinions about episode 2, I really do find it hard to believe. Like, I would be in the same position as Carol. I'd be like, are you serious? Like, nobody can see this as a huge problem, wanting to solve this mystery or wanting to solve how we can get at least that freedom for certain people. It's kind of crazy. It's so absurd that it's really hard to believe. But I'm gonna withhold my opinions about that maybe for the season's end, just to see like what happens. So I can understand that she gets mad and she gets frustrated, and that's a reason to spiral even further and to feel even more depressed. But the counter argument, and why I feel like it works, to the argument of people saying, oh yeah, you know, her partner died and she doesn't think of these things because of that. I don't buy that. She clearly is still trying and making an effort to fix the issue, to solve this problem. And for me, I would argue that her main thing, the one thing that she wants the most, is to meet other people that feel what she feels. That's why she tried to organize a meeting with everyone who wasn't infected. And to further this point, even when the meeting doesn't go well, she still tries. She still tries to reach out to people who don't even speak the same language. And she's smarter about it too. She asks the hive mind to basically outline everyone else and give their details. She probably could have done that in the first place, but at least now she's doing it. And because she's doing it, it just feels like she understands a level of, you know, this is what they can do. They're clearly very smart, and she understands that. Yet, for whatever reason, when they give her a grenade, she doesn't ask, is this real? To be honest, I know that they made that scene for, you know, it's high impact, it's emotional and everything like that, but she already learned that information from the very beginning. She learned certain rules about the hive mind, things that they can't do. They seem to not be able to lie. They seem to not be able to harm any living being intentionally, and so on. At the point that she learns this information, she should start to think about it a bit more if her goal is to essentially defeat this hive mind and bring people back to normal. And this brings me to my main argument. Carol is a fictional writer, and a best-selling one at that. And writers are very experienced with logic. They have to think about characters, environments, interesting circumstances, and how they all mix together. What are characters' goals? How do they achieve them? What are the problems that they have to solve? What is the story arc, and so on? And yes, I totally get that she writes about romance, but it's also a pirate adventure romance, meaning there is an adventure there. And I genuinely think it's a crime to make a creative writer this dumb in regards to the questions that they're asking the hive mind and what they're actually trying to do about solving the problem that they claim to really want to solve. There's just a mountain of possibilities, and I just feel like she literally has done the probably least logical and intelligent things that a creative writer could have done. It just feels like she's just a writer for the purposes of being a writer, and she doesn't actually embody the character of a writer. Just think of it this way. It took a situation where she was handed a grenade, a real one, thought it was fake for some reason, like did not ask them about it, and decided to set it off not believing that it was real without asking about it. And yes, I get at that point, you know, she was drinking and she was in a state of mind that wasn't great, but it just feels weird that the first scene where they interact, where she gets handed the grenade, she doesn't ask, oh, is this real? Like, I just feel like that's a natural question to ask. It really doesn't feel like a writer or a character such as Carol would not ask that question. It just feels like they did it for the sake of plot, which is totally fine. It led to a very interesting scene, but I just feel like it is a crime against logic to make that happen in that way. And then at the end, we get the scene where she asks, oh, can I get a bazooka? Can I get a nuclear bomb? Basically at the end, and they hesitantly say yes. I feel like she should have known this. I really think that any logical character who experienced episode 2, was in episode 2 and saw everything and heard everything that they said, is so obvious that they would give you and do things for you that are clearly not normal at all. We learned almost nothing, and Carol's character learned almost nothing from the experience that she had in episode 2. I really don't understand it. It feels very confusing to have her in the beginning of the episode clearly try things that make sense, and then for the sake of that grenade moment and so on, like she learns what she already knows. But if someone can explain to me, you know, this isn't a crime of logic, like there's a good explanation to why the plot played out the way it did, I'm happy to hear it. I'm just really hoping that from here on, now that she actually understands the rules very properly, hopefully that she can ask the right questions, that she somehow goes back to being a true creative fictional writer that thinks about these things and asks the questions of the plot, like, you know, what are you guys doing? What's your goal? Why are you guys here? Like, there's so many things that I'm curious about for the hive mind. And I just think if she knows this, I really hope this is her next move, that she uses this to her advantage, the hive mind, to help her actually, you know, use the hive mind to fight the hive mind. Say you guys want me to be happy, right? So can you at least help me maybe free one person, free the pirate lady? Maybe once you guys figure out how to infect me, you can reinfect her. Like, but just help me free the pirate lady for now. And then by just doing that, she figures out how to free the rest of the people. Just something where it's so obvious that the hive mind is playing by a set of rules. And I understand why episode 1 and 2 was the way it was, because she didn't know those sets of rules and she was being very cautious. But now that she does, I pray that the show continues to progress well, and I really did like episode 1 and 2. I just feel like this episode in particular was a disappointment, but I'm really hoping it goes back to being like solid. Anyways, I'm curious to your guys' opinions down below. Please keep it respectful. Just know, you know, we're talking about a fictional show. It is definitely a good show and very controversial as well. There's like a lot of things to talk about. I believe in the freedom of expressing your thoughts and your feelings, but just keep it respectful, please. Thank you. And if you're looking forward to seeing more in the series of Crimes Against Logic, please give this video a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.